because it is a taboo thing. It's like construction. You're going to be on a shovel. You're going to break your back. You're lifting heavy, crazy concrete blocks, and you're doing all this ridiculous stuff that people try to scare you off from doing it. And that was one thing that I'm a more of a I have to see it for myself type of person.
Yeah.
So even with whatever I try to do, I don't go by somebody else's word. I have to see it for myself and actually, get into it.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Burgess Civil Podcast, where our greatest asset is our people. As we've talked about in our previous lead-ins with the podcast, our goal here is to kind of flip the script a little bit with our podcast. We want to talk to people that are coming up through the trade that have a variety of different experiences through the industry, that might have a diversification of backgrounds and don't take that normal path into the construction industry. We're talking to a lot of people that have come up through the trade, whether they've come in as laborers or operators and then worked their way to foreman, superintendent positions. We want to show people the positive stories in construction about how this can be a great career, and people should really consider the construction industry as a trade that they should think about going into. We've got a very special guest here today. Her name is Miss Telicia Goodwin. She has been with Burgess Civil since October of 2021, and we're going to spend some time interviewing her today. Again, I am Ben Burgess. I'm the founder and owner of Burgess Civil. We're a site work and roadway contractor based out of Tampa, Florida. We just celebrated 10 years in business, and we've got a lot of wonderful team members. And we're really looking forward today to spotlighting Telicia's experience in the industry and her experience with Burgess Civil. One reason her story is so cool is she had a very long career in the service and hospitality industry. She worked in service and hospitality for about 20 years. Before taking her first job in construction was at Burgess Civil. And almost 3 years later, she's still here working on her skill set, building her career, moving up within our company. And so we're going to really share her story all the way back to the time when she entered the workforce, actually at 16 years old. So Telicia shared some of her story with me earlier off camera, and now we're going to share this everybody in our podcast following. So Telicia, welcome, and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, so let's rewind the tape here. 16-year-old Telicia, she decides, I'm going to work with my hands. I'm going to get my hands dirty. I want to do something for a living. I want to get out of the classroom, right?
Right.
So take me back there and what your thought process was and kind of your path.
Well, like every teenager, I was 16 years old. So I wanted to drive. I wanted a vehicle. So mom was like, hey, I'll get the car. You have to pay your car insurance. So it was like, hey, I got to get a job. My first job was McDonald's. I did the early morning shift. It was interesting. I didn't know that it can be that busy early in the morning because, of course, you're a teenager, so you're not lively. But at the fast pace and as many people you come in contact with, is very challenging early in the morning for someone young, especially when your mind is
you're
not
dealing with the public, and at 4:30 in the morning, you gotta put your happy face on, right?
Right. So like with every typical teenager, you're like, too early, people. But it was a really good experience for me. It kind of helped me grow up a little bit of saying that, not being like, far as being mad or angry or disgruntled. It being around certain people, it became like a infectious attitude. Happy, good morning. How are you doing? How's your day today? Oh, I hope you have a good, interesting day. I hope you do well. And it was some very positive people just, coming by and saying certain things. And it started changing my attitude a little bit about, being up in mornings or being a people person. So I started kind of like in hospitality a lot, being able to talk with the different personalities and different people and different jobs that they had going on, because the first start of the morning, the first conversation kind of do guys your day, the rest of the day of how your day goes. And it was just really good to have a good positive attitude in the morning.
That's one, I'd say that's one thing you're known for. This company is your positive, infectious attitude. That's why you go to the career fairs and you talk to a lot of young people about the opportunities in the construction industry and, just different opportunities that are available to you in construction, right?
Right. So I've been through many different situations. So it's easier to talk to with younger people because I'm still young as myself. I'm still young at heart. But I've been through what they've been through and some of the questions that they have and some of the concerns they have because it is a taboo thing. It's like construction. You're going to be on a shovel. You're going to break your back. You're lifting heavy, crazy concrete blocks, and you're doing
Yeah.
all this ridiculous stuff that people try to scare you off from doing it. And that was one thing that I always been. I'm a more of a I have to see it for myself type of person.
Yeah.
So even with whatever I try to do, I don't go by somebody else's word. I have to see it for myself and actually, get into it. But it's always helpful to have a positive person next to you, nudging you along to be like, hey, you can do this, or hey, this is easy, or
Yeah.
that's one thing I would say that young people are timid about because they don't open up to you as fast.
Right.
And it takes a lot of personal different experiences for somebody to open up to you because they feel like, oh, you don't come from my background, you don't know what I'm talking about, or
Hmm.
you have never did this, so you don't know what to do. And I think that being young and actually having an open mind to a lot of things, I think that helped me a lot progress through the company far as being from hospitality to construction. You just got to keep an open mind on a lot
Yeah.
of things
Sure.
and embrace some things,
Yeah.
even things that you don't think is as far fetched.
Yeah.
Embrace some things.
Well, your willingness to learn has been kind of one of your greatest assets here at the company, and all the variety of things that you've done in a short period of time. So you talked to me a little bit about your first vision for kind of your career was maybe getting into welding, right?
Right.
So tell me about welding and yeah, you had some very
so
specific ideas there.
So when I was doing McDonald's, I actually thought I was gonna actually do that full time. So I did that for a while. I got into started trying to get into the management, and the toll started to be a little, I wouldn't say demanding, but it was like I wanted to do something else. It was like I was hungry for something else. I like this, but it's not it. So I like always like working with my hands. So my mom talked me into going into Job Corps. And I was like, I mean, I can get my GED time anytime. And my mom was like, no. I said, you can learn a trade and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna pick a trade.
And this is
So
at 16 years old, right?
this is at 16 years old.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna pick a trade. And then she was like, okay, well, tell me what you think. She thought I was gonna go into nursing school or something like that. So I was like, I'm doing welding. So she was like, okay. So I actually enrolled in Turner Job Corps. I went to Albany, Georgia. The first week there, they do a placement test to see where you are. I passed that placement test where I was able to go take my GED. My GED was done in 2 weeks. After I finished my GED, I started my welding training. It only took me 7 months to kind of do for arc welding, MIG, and TIG, which is aluminum and stainless steel. So once I finished that, I had 5 weeks of trying to pick where I wanted to work at. So of course I wanted to come back home. I'm homesick. Tampa is a good place for welding because we do have shipyards. And that's one thing I wanted to do. Now, for personal experiences, I had a little setback. I ended up getting pregnant. So I couldn't be in the port that early in the morning at 4. I didn't want to be dropping my child off at a daycare that early in the morning or trying to find somebody like that. So that was another challenging thing far as keeping my trade that I wanted to do because now I have a family.
Right.
So I fell back a little bit, did some home mom stuff, my first child. Naturally, like anybody, I got back into the work field, I want to say 4 years later. I ended up going into fast food. And from fast food there, I just fell in love with, again, helping people, being around people with infectious attitudes and far as just listening to people and their different backgrounds and cultures and different experiences and stuff. Like everything's a tale or a movie to me. And it's a lot of books that are walking, living books and that people can tell you about their different experiences and stuff. So I just always wanted to be, talking to people and like learning about other people and their experiences in life and stuff because I always adapted to whatever somebody else experienced. You can always kind of use that as a template for something that might happen in your life later on down the line. So
Yeah.
never exclude somebody's story, because the story might come to you in light later on down the line. So
Yeah. Be open-minded to anybody, no matter where they're from.
yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So you talked to me a little bit about, though, that you had a very specific type of welding you wanted to do. And before you had your first child, you were kind of thinking about traveling for that, right?
Right. So that's why I wanted to go back to Tampa, because we do have a shipyard. So the shipyard was kind of close, was horses on the water. So I wanted to do, I always wanted to go for the gusto. So I wanted to do underwater welding.
Nice. Yeah.
So the part about underwater welding is, of course, you can't be underwater too long, and you can't. They don't allow you to work that many hours a day, because it's very exhausting and draining on your body. You can get the bids, you know, all kinds of stuff. So when I did my physical, they let me know that I have anemia. So I had to take a whole bunch of vitamins and all kinds of IV drip bags to try to get my stuff up. But it was more or less that it was going to be more of a hindrance for me to continue on doing underwater welding. So I had to put a little pause on that. So that would make me go back to hospitality again, which is kind of like my safe little comfort zone. But it also can get very demanding with trying to appease a lot of people. Far as everybody, I don't know, everybody. I understand everybody has expectations on what should be and what is, and sometimes overexerting yourself all the time for every customer can get mentally draining. And that's one thing that I was starting to take a toll on me. So I was like, man, I kind of think I need to do something else. So I was talking to my dad about it, and I was like, Dad, I don't think I want to do fast food anymore.
Okay. Before we get to that point, one of the things I want to make sure you share your story on was your experience actually with Jimmy John's. And so you had a pretty long career there. And I think there's some really good things the construction industry can learn from your experience there at Jimmy John's, in terms of the way that they were really open with their financials and the way that they were trying to help you almost have an entrepreneurial or an owner mindset with, how do we make this business successful? How do we treat each client like they're our own? That kind of stuff. You shared with me they had a whole university for these things, right? You spent 8 years there. So tell us more about that.
Champaign, Illinois is where they're base stationed at. So when you go into general manager training, they send you to Champaign, Illinois for 2 weeks. So you're in a hard college. So you're going into a classroom. You're going to a classroom. You're doing financials. You're doing algebra. You're doing arithmetic. You're doing so much different things that you didn't think that goes into a business, but it does. But what I did like about Jimmy John's is that they broke every single thing down to you as though that was your store. Like that was your baby. That's what whatever you put into it, that's what you nurse. It's all hands off. You learn this and this is yours. And that was one thing that was very different from McDonald's versus Jimmy John's, because they open up the big secret to you, or so to speak. So they let you know the ins and out, the pros and cons. Pretty much they laid out the whole map for you, and then let you decide, hey, and if you don't want to be a general manager anymore, own your own Jimmy John's. And I do know some friends that actually do own Jimmy John's. Shout out to Blaine.
And all this, I mean, look at the training they put into you to make sandwiches, basically, right?
To make sandwiches. And I've always been a competitive spirit. So even with making sandwiches, you do start off as, baking the bread, and from then on, they tell you the template of what to do. And it was always Jimmy John's freaky fast 30-second sandwiches. So it was always a competition. Like, I can make a sandwich in 17 seconds. I can make it in 10 seconds. So it was more of a competitive thing that I was playing with. And they seen something in me like, yo, you're really good at this. And I was just like, and then I actually like, you know what? I actually finna give this a try. And after 6 months, I became a shift leader. After another 6 months, I became a second assistant. A year after that, I became a first assistant. And the next year after that, I became a general manager. And the steps that I felt were different was because to us in Florida, Jimmy John's was a new company, and versus McDonald's has been here forever.
Right.
I liked the fact that it was a new company and I was owned by a franchisee that was just starting to build Jimmy John's down here.
Right.
So I got in the door kind of early,
Yeah.
and from then on, it blossomed into one of these things where it's like, yo, I really like seeing stuff from the ground up and nurturing it and seeing it blossom into something big. And that was, like, I would say, my first love for seeing, stuff from start to finish.
Right.
And Jimmy John's was a good teacher of that. And I love that the fact that they were hand to hand with you.
Right.
And that was something that McDonald's kind of wasn't with me.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of what kind of lets the love and luster move on from that. And with and
Yeah. And so from there, I know you talked about now you've got a beautiful blended family with your wife. You guys have 4 kids.
right.
Hospitality and fast food and the service industry really always requires all day Saturday, all day Sunday.
Always, but in the same breath, there's always an emergency in fast food and hospitality.
Right.
Because yes, the weekends are demanding. Of course, everybody's out on their families on weekends.
Yeah.
So if you are a hospitality worker or a fast food worker, of course, weekends are their busiest time, so they need you in the store working. And that's one thing that was hard for me, because it's like, hey, I got a family too. My family want to do stuff on weekends and other things like that. And that was actually taking a toll on my family, because they felt like they weren't being able to go do anything, or I want to go out and hang out with my friends, or Mom, why you can't come to this football game, or why you can't come to this recital, or I have this match coming up. And it was starting to mess with me, take a toll on me mentally too, as far as being in hospitality, because it was so demanding that I didn't have any time for my family.
Mhm.
And that's like a two-way street. You have to make sure that, your family's okay, as far as, you trying to make a living for them too. And that's for some people, that's a hard thing to balance. And luckily I was blessed to be able to balance that.
Yeah. Well, you talked about this earlier with me was, in our core values, we have an I in team for self-care. And we talk about our responsibility to be, as an employer for our people, we're trying to make you the best version of yourself physically, mentally, and financially. And you feel like, hey, when I can have more of that work-life balance, because we're not a huge overtime company, we do try to have people have that balance. You felt like with you having that balance to be able to spend more time with your family on the weekends and things like that. When you came in on Monday, you were recharged and refreshed, and you had your purpose, and you said, all right, I'm ready to go attack for the next 5 days, and put in the hours and get this done so that I can then do that again with my family. Right.
Right. And the interesting thing was the funny thing I found, me being versus working in hospitality and working here and being off on weekends, you're actually at home on Sunday thinking about Monday, about what you're going to do when you get to work, and you're actually happy and excited to get to work and do what you need to do.
Sure.
And that right there is a big difference from working in hospitality versus me coming to Burgess, because I dread going to work on Monday. I dread going to, I dread getting up and, I got to deal with these people.
Yeah.
And it became a task.
Yeah.
And it was just very
kind of
unhealthy.
wore you down.
Yeah, it was very unhealthy for me.
Right.
So like I was stating, my dad.
October 2021.
Yeah, I was talking to my dad.
I
I was talking to my dad. He's a big jokester. So I was talking to my dad. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do hospitality. I was like, it's draining, on top of me working a lot of hours. And at the time, the fast food companies wasn't paying as much as they're doing now.
Right.
So I was like, I'm not making enough money. And I was like, I need to find something different. And my dad, he's always been in construction. He's always been hands-on. So I guess that's where I got the lust for hands-on stuff from. But he was like, I work for this company, Burgess. I want you to come, and I want you to come work with me. And I'm like, Dad, I don't know nothing about construction. I'm not coming. It's like, no, I don't want to be on a shovel. I don't want to do that. I don't want to dig ditches. And he was like, we don't dig ditches. So, once he was like, I promise you, I got you. I was like, Dad, I don't know anything. I don't want to come in there and messing anything up. And he was like, look, son, I got you. He was just like, there, it is a company. We're not requiring the experience. He was like, I'm going to talk and see if they can put you on the same team as me, and then we're gonna work from there. So I was like, okay, whatever. So I was, he kept calling and calling, and I got up to the office and I put in an application. I went out to the site to go test. Before I went and got on and test, I explained my situation to the foreman at the time, and he was like, well, your dad said that you're a quick learner. He said you're his gene, so he said you can do it.
Yeah.
So I got put on the roller first, which was really easy. Actually,
so you're on a dirt crew, right?
Yeah, so I'm
Okay.
on Earth. Yes. So they put me on a roller, and I was like, oh, this is really easy. He was like, yeah, all you got to do is go back and forth in a straight line. And then when you go to the next one, you just overlap it a little bit. That's it. I was like, that's it? That's it? And he was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, I got it. So I was on a roller for about a month. And while I was on a roller for a month, I mean, I'm thinking I'm doing like something. We had an end dump that we had just got on to the site and had been sitting there. And we had a superintendent come, and he was like, he talked to the foreman, hey, you didn't find anybody to run that truck yet? And he was like, yeah, she's a new hire, but she's a roller operator. And so he came and talked to me. I was kind of scared because he had a different, demeanor, like one of the, like a stern, strict demeanor.
Yeah.
So he came up to me, and he was like, hey, you know how to drive a car? I was like, yes, sir, I drove here. So he was like, I want you to get in that truck. I want you to drive. I want you to go to that excavator, get a load, and I want you to go and drop it over here in this corner by the fence. I was like, okay. So he was like, you see how those trucks are going and looping around? He was like, get in the truck. He said, your dad, you get in there and sit beside her. They'll do anything for her, but sit beside her.
Yeah, coach her.
So I got it to the excavator. They were loading. I just kept feeling the truck drop. And I was nervous because, it's my first time being,
especially if you've never even ridden in
Yes, something that big. And loading the dirt, you feel the weight going down on the truck. So as I pulled off, I was nervous. I was shaking. So my dad was like, it's just like any other car. You go up, straighten yourself up, and then you back in. He said, make sure you leave a couple of, feet, because he said when the bed lifts, it's going to go over the tire. I was like, okay, but it's going to go on the gate. He was like, no, it's not. It's not on the gate. I was like, it's going to go on the gate. So I went to back up. And right before I was supposed to dump, I was like, Dad, when am I supposed to dump? And he was like, you got it. Just use your better judgment. And I was just like, but you're supposed to be telling me this. And he was just like, yo, I got faith in you. He was so calm the whole time. And that was one of the things that really helped me out. So he was like, just dump it. So I dumped it, and it dropped right perfectly, and it slid right before it hit the little fence.
Yeah.
And the superintendent came up to me, and he was like, you're a truck driver now. That's what you are. You're a haul truck. This is your truck. Here's the key. This is yours.
Nice.
And I was like, wow, I was like, that easy to learn equipment. So
and that's a $400,000 piece of equipment, by the way.
Right. So I'm like, they're trusting me with this big piece of equipment.
Yeah.
But from then on, it was like, man, it was more like, yo, this is way easier than what I thought. And there are times where you are, outside, but that's only to prep something to get, to move something else. It's not like you're permanently outside, like as though I thought was the taboo of I'm going to be on a shovel, I'm going to be digging ditches, because that totally wasn't the case. Everybody, has to do some type of groundwork. It is construction, so it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. And I love that. I love that everybody was so inviting. Once I learned the end dump, I had the load operator come up to me and be like, hey, you want to learn this? And I was like, yeah, just give me a minute. Yeah. I just learned the truck, but that's another thing I want to say about the company. Like, everybody's not as mean and this rugged personality that everybody thinks are these mean, stern people, and they're going to yell at me. Old school construction. Yeah, they're going to yell at me and stuff. Now these guys have some mugs on them, but they're pretty nice guys. And the fact that they were so inviting and so eager to teach me and learn. And they always say, hey, you're going to be replacing me. I'm out the door. You better learn this stuff. And I don't want no raggedy house.
Yeah.
So they used to joke a lot about things like that. But other than that, it was more of a family atmosphere. And I loved and embraced the team from then on. And from then on, it was just like, I need to learn another machine. And it was like machine after machine. And it was just like, I just kept being hungry for it. But it's also on top of that is seeing a site go from woods to flat surface to a Zen garden with lines, and like I spent all day with a rake prepping and stuff.
Yeah.
It was just like it was just a visual, and then come back. I want to say like 6 months to a year later, and you actually see a building standing there. And that was just like one of the greatest achievements. Like, yo, I started that. I built
Isn't
that.
it a beautiful thing when you were there from the first patch of woods to now people are living there?
Now people are living there.
Yeah.
And but also it gave me a lot of insight on what it takes to build something, a house. Seeing the pipe work go in and seeing what it takes to start a site, because there are a lot of different variations. I thought you just dig a hole, throw some pipe in there and go, but there's a lot of small stuff that you don't think about that you need to learn.
You can be challenged and learn something new every day in this work. I mean, I've been doing it for 20 years and I learned something new every day, you know?
Yes. And the funny thing is that I didn't know clay comes in all different types of colors.
Yeah, right.
So I'm thinking about this Georgia red clay, and we had turquoise clay, we had some yellow stuff.
Yeah.
You got the slurry stuff. So it was like interesting to know that I've been in Florida this long and I didn't know like some of the natural resources that we have and some things that we do. As far as like the water tables and how things flow, because like not people really think about like when it rains and which way the water goes into the drain of the ditch.
Yeah.
But by me learning that, it was like something that's like
a whole new world is kind of opened
it's
up.
like everything has a high and a low point. So now when I go out with the kids, like where they're camping or we're in a park or something like that, I know where to set the tent on the high point, because we done had some flash rains before. And
this is Florida.
This is Florida. So we done had some flash rains where we done got our little things wet, and why we sat up in a puddle of water and stuff like that. And now it's like, oh no, we need to go on this high point and we need to do this. And it's like more or less I think my by me being eager to learn, I've been going home, I've been talking to my boys, talking to their ear off, and they're actually eager to learn and be in construction. Like, cool. Why you do that? I showed them pictures. Got a spot for them. I show them pictures of the site. I'd be like, from start to finish, I show you this is what I started. This is what machine I'm on today. It's more things that it's more of a healthy, infectious attitude that I'm branching out to my home now. Now I'm not coming home like dreary and like, give me time to decompress, guys.
Yeah, people complaining to me all day about their hamburger.
Right. So it's a different change for me coming home happy and bubbly, and my kids asking, "Hey, mom, what you do today? What machine were you on?" And telling them about certain things, because kids, and especially boys, are naturally focused on anything building or constructing. We have 1,000 Lego sets at home. So my youngest son, he's like all for it. And he's like, well, Mom, how that machine works? So what did that actually do? So in the same breath, it gives me a sense of pride too, as far as that my kids are actually proud of something I do. Because when I worked at these fast food restaurants, they didn't care.
Right.
You're like, hey son, you wanna come visit me and work? Like, nah. I'm good.
Yeah. So now they see the equipment and you can point that out. Anytime you're driving, you're going to see job sites under construction.
Right. Or I'd be like, hey, we built that, or we did this. I just told my dad, we just finished up with the V hospital. So doing the VA. Yeah. So he was that was a sense of pride of mine.
Because he worked on that.
And cool. Also we do have a lot of veterans in my family. Yeah. So cool. For me helping to build something that they can access later, that gives me a sense of pride too, because they need stuff like that. And for me to be saying, hey, I helped and a hand on, putting that together, it gives you a good sense of joy and sense of purpose that I couldn't find with fast food. Yeah. So that's why I love construction now.
I want to go back to something that you said a couple minutes ago. You talked about how everybody just kind of embraced you here and gave you the opportunity to learn. And I'm really excited to hear you say that, because from the time I started the company, we've always talked about training our replacements. And now kind of the next step for Burgess is basically becoming a training company that has to do construction, right? We talk about all you have to have is integrity. Do what's right no matter who's watching, and we will take care of the rest. We'll train you. We'll give you the tools to succeed. And so with that, there's all kinds of different construction companies out there, but we're a pretty young one. You joined us when we were 7 years old. We're 10 years old. We're not even a teenager yet. So one of the statistics that I've heard is I think that, for the baby boomer generation that makes up a lot of our workforce in this industry, I think like a third of them are going to be retiring. Basically a third of our workforce is going to be retiring in the next 5 years or so. So that creates opportunities for someone like you that's younger with no experience to come in. And you told me about all the different things that you've already been able to run at this company, right? So tell me about all the different equipment that you've been on, because you started with the roller, and then within like a couple weeks you're on the end dump.
And then I been a month later, I was on the end dump.
Right.
After I was on the end dump, we ended up going to a site where we needed a loader operator.
Yeah.
And again, I had a superintendent come to me and was like, "Hey, you run the roller, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I run the roller." He was like, "Good. Come here. I want you to show you this front end loader." And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Yeah, I know about the loader." He was like, "Yeah, I want you to run it." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "No, I don't think I'm ready for that." He was like, "Listen, you got this." He was like, "The same steering do you use on a roller? It's the same thing as a loader." He says the same principle. He said you incorporate what you learn on a roller into the same thing as the front end loader. So Joe threw me in the loader, and he showed me the controls. He showed me what to do. He showed me how to, go scoop a little bit and go drop it off. And from there, I was just like, "Yo, this is dope. This is pretty easy," because the misconception is that nobody wants to show you anything because everybody thinks that you're going to replace them before time. And I don't think the workforce should be like that. I think everybody should help everybody. Yeah, some people are more talented than others, but that's not goes to show that you're not just as important as that person. Um, the fact that everybody was so embracing and so warming, it gave me the initiative to be like, "Yo, this is so easy." I go home, talk to my friends, like, "Yo, y'all want to get in construction?"
Yeah.
"Yo, it's easy." You know what I'm saying?
Because you said there's always been opportunity
Always
for you
been,
here.
it's always been opportunity for me here, and it's always been, especially on Earth. It's like it's so many different jobs that you can do for even beginners that doesn't require a lot of know-how, knowledge. You just have to be there and pay attention and learn.
Be available, because when that person, you talked to me earlier about somebody's on vacation this week, and now you're on the dozer, and you said if Gary's listening to this, you say he's gonna have to fight you when he comes back to get his dozer back because you love being on it.
Right. So I started out on the 450 open face cab dozer. So I had a teammate. We were doing a special project. Tommy. I was doing the roller for him while he was dozing some stuff, and he was like, "Hey, you want to get on this dozer?" And I'm like, "Yo, I don't know, guys. I haven't been on this." And he was like, "Oh, you got it." So Tommy told me to come over there. I got on the open cab, and he showed me how to push and stuff like that. And then I was like, "Yo, I kind of like this dozer thing. It's more of my speed. It's more of it's like artwork." So it's more or less painting the ground, making lines, watching the GPS, seeing the curves and contours and stuff like that. It was something that I felt like I had to really focus and pay attention on, but it really wasn't even like that. It came natural, like an artist, and it's like everything just like flowed out in front of me. So from the open cab, I got to get on our 700. I got to push some piles when we were at Hudson. We were doing the hospital over there. When from there on, you got us some nice new equipment.
I'm always going in debt for y'all.
So when the new cats came onto the scene, I was like, "Yo, those are bad. I want to get on it." But of course, it was seniority, and those are operators that got it first. So I was like, "Man, I got to get on that thing. So my foreman came up to me this week and was like, "Hey, Gary's going to be out on a family emergency for a couple of days, you want to, he put it like, do you mind running the dozer for me?
Yeah.
Do I mind?
Yeah.
I ran over there so fast.
Just made your day.
He made my week.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, cause, every machine that I want to learn, I wanted to learn to the top of my ability. And I feel like, the roller was easy. The truck was easy. The front end loader, it can get complicated as far as, you're sweating bullets, like moving structures and stuff like that off the trucks. But actually the dozer is kind of like, he's the person that gives you the visual of what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
To me, I thought that was like very cool that they be all, digging on ponds and going down slopes. And I don't know, it's just the coolness of the machinery that got on it. So when I got on it this week, I was kind of nervous again, and I was just like, yo, I don't want to mess anything up. But it was like, yo, you got it. Just keep pushing the piles, like we said, and stuff like that. And that confident booster is just always what have gave me the infectious attitude of saying like, hey, I want to learn. Hey, y'all, put me on something else. And that's what have got me to the point where I'm like, yo, construction's for me,
Yeah. This is your career now.
This is me.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have had that without positive people behind me and open-minded people. And then that's a big thing with companies. When everybody's all closed off and segregated into their own little groups and stuff like that, I feel like the company doesn't work like a well-oiled machine like it should.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I did find in Burgess, that we do run like a well-oiled machine because everybody, looks out for each other.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I did like, because it is a family setting and those guys are like family to me, because I'm with them for 48, 50 hours out of the week,
Sure.
So
that's one of the things I always try to tell people when they hire on is, look, there's no reason to point fingers at the dirt crew, the pipe crew, the road crew, right? Ultimately, everybody's shirt says Burgess, everybody's vest says Burgess.
Right.
There's only one bank account, and that's where the money for the raises comes from. That's where the bonuses come from. So we might as well work together as a team, so we can all benefit from it.
Yes, and I love that everybody's encouraging, and I like the fact that when I first started here, there were a couple of hard foremans that we had, and I noticed that you noticed that, and then I have been quietly noticing you been silently fixing things like that. Like you had all the foremen go to a meeting for talking to us a little bit better, relaying messages for us, little communication, relations and stuff like that. And I have seen a difference in that, and it has from that aspect of me watching you implement things that normal people don't think about. I've seen a bigger attitude towards the team. The people are more willingly to open up and talk, and they're like, "Hey, Jamie, how you doing today? I'm not feeling so great. You mind if I do this today instead of doing that today?" And that's a really big thing that I felt like safety is another thing that is in construction. And if you're not there mentally, it's a good thing that you can realize that and be like, "Hey, I don't need to be on this equipment today.
That's
I'm not all there. Put me on something else, or let me walk the silk fence or something. Let me do something else." And now that people are starting to have that nurturing, caring attitude, they know that it's not only me here, it's other people here, and I don't want to injure or I don't want to
put somebody else at risk.
I don't want to jeopardize anybody else in risk.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I do love about Burgess, that you're implementing tools that are blossoming into some very positive things into the company that most companies don't think about, or not seeing a different side of things, because mental health is a big thing, and not a lot of people they sweep it under the rug.
Yeah,
and the fact
especially this industry.
Yes, because it's like, hey, you got to be tough, no crybabies, and stuff like that, and that was another misconception. That's why nobody want to get in, because everybody doesn't need to be talked to in a rough manner or hostility wise, and that would deter people from wanting to come to companies like that, because they think that I don't want nobody just talking to me like this. Everybody thinks it's military style,
right?
With construction companies, and it's like, of course, there's some there's some things, that has to be,
There are companies like that too, but that's just not our style.
That's not our style. And the thing that I like is that we're always evolving, and we're always not far as expanding big and fast, but we're evolving, and as though we're attacking our core values and making sure we're keeping up to that, and we're making sure that we're keeping our word on what we say, what we're going to do, and what needs to get done. And that's one thing that is great the great thing about this company is because you actually are focused on that. And it's a lot of other companies that don't even care. They don't even care if the employees show up. You're just a number to them because they're so big and huge. It's like, oh, I don't care. But
well, and that's the difference with us, right? Like I've always said, I want it to be a privilege to work here, not a right. I don't want to have to hire everybody off the street because we need help, right?
Right.
So we're selective about who we bring on the team and who we work for, so that we can treat our people better.
Right. And that's the great thing about what got me into construction and got me to saying, hey, I'm trying to bring people into construction. I'm family members, friends.
Yeah.
Even when I talk to the kids, a lot of kids know they're not going to go to college.
Right.
When you implemented the program, we're going to HCC, they try to bring some of the youth in. And actually, they're listening.
Yeah.
They're listening. And
so anybody that's listening, you don't have to go to McDonald's. You don't have to go to Jimmy John's. Construction's a route. It's an option if you like to be outside and get your hands dirty and run heavy equipment.
And the biggest thing is that they think that they're just going to be outside sweating all day on a shovel, and that's not what it is.
You might start there, but there's opportunity
You're right.
to get on the equipment.
That's not what it is. And like I said, every time you touch something that like a shovel or something, you're just setting up for something else, so to speak. So it's not like you're going to always be on it. You might have one day of hard labor and the next day you're in the machine, you know? So I would tell everybody to, just try
Consider it.
Just try it. It was one thing that I thought that was so far-fetched that I thought that, hey, I'm just supposed to do fast food and I'm just supposed to do this or whatever, because it came easy for me, know? And a lot of young people, they do like challenges. They don't like to admit it, but they like challenges.
Sure.
They like to be competitive.
Yeah.
And I think construction is one thing that you can be competitive at, that you can actually see yourself excel in it and actually do really great things with it. And to me, I would say you're pretty much setting yourself up for a greater outcome than what you expect, because fast food is really a dead end. They're pretty much already established. The manager's been there for like forever. You get to a certain point where it's stagnant and you don't go anywhere or do anything. There's nothing interesting happening. Nothing, to hoop and holler
Same
over.
thing every day.
Yep.
You talked about that to me earlier.
You become a drone.
Like, the variety of things you could see on different jobs, different equipment. I remember even seeing you up at our Leland project running a soil mixer, and that was a big mixing operation. That was a $500,000 machine that they put you on for a very important operation.
Right. And you know what? And that brought me so much pride for me to run it, because everybody was timid about the soil stabilizer. And I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna get on it.
I got this.
I got this. So I got on it, and then I ended up being one of the most important people on the job site.
That was huge.
When on a insignificant thing that I thought was insignificant. I was like, oh, all we're doing is mixing dirt. But it was something that
was a critical path on the job.
Right. Yeah. We couldn't do anything without that soil. Yeah. And that was one thing that everybody started saying, well, man, Telicia's getting on a lot of different equipment.
Right.
She's there when they need different things. She's always asking. Like,
you're available.
I'm already, and so other employees are starting to be like, yo, show me how to do that, you know? And it's some things that, they're older.
Now you're becoming the mentor.
Right. They're older. And now it's some things that they felt like, I would never thought of being on that. So older guys, they just think, oh, I only been hired for this equipment and this is all I'm going to do. But me doing other things, I have been, showing everybody else that like, hey, it don't matter what we do. We're all important, and so people say, hey, come show me how to do the mixer. Hey, come show me how to do this. And I was just like, it's easy. And they'd be like, that's crazy. They'd be like, legit. They were like,
your positive attitude is infectious.
So you got somebody who's 50 something, 60 something years old saying, hey, show me how to do this. And it's like,
That's awesome.
me.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad to know that people in that age group are still willing to learn. That's great. You can learn something new every day.
Right.
All right. So we've been through all the things that you've learned here at this company, the way you've stepped up and leveled up your career and your opportunities. So what's the next step for Telicia at Burgess Civil? Where do you envision your career going?
Well, my next step, like I said, I like things going from the ground up, and you guys are blossoming. You guys are a new company, and the thing is, I would love to be part of the team to help us grow in all many different ways. Um, I like the fact that we look outside the box on a lot of things, and I don't care what I do far as in the company. I just want to be a part of the company
Yeah.
because
Cool.
every task is important. So I don't really have a um, say I just want to only be a foreman, or
Right.
I would like to be a trainer. I want to be human resources. I want to do it all. I want to get back there in the shop, and I want to help the mechanical guys because sometimes that can be a detrimental thing as far as of our equipment is malfunctioning.
Right.
And I know some mechanical work, and it's like, hey, I could take a look at this. Oh, it's just this. We just only need this, instead of having to hire somebody to come out and look at it, charge us this big old bill just to tell us something that we kind of already knew we needed.
Yeah.
So it just aces when they places. Wherever I'm needed, that's why I'm there.
Team player.
Team player.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love it. Well, we're really happy that your dad decided to talk you into construction, and we're glad you ended up in that end dump. And you're just trying the variety of things that you're doing because you've become such an asset for the company, and really appreciative to have you on the team.
I like the variety of different places and sites that we go to, a different scenery everywhere, a different city that we're going to. Not to mention on lunch, I get to eat all the different restaurants at all different places.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's never boring.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it. We always have something to do. It's not something that we're just standing around twiddling our thumbs, because it gets like that in fast food. Sometimes we got no customers and you just standing there looking, waiting on something to pop up, and it's always something to do.
You're always busy.
I was always somewhere to go. And then when we do have downtime, that's learning time. Let me get on this piece of equipment. Let me learn this. Hey, you want to learn this? Let me show you how to do these things. So it does help us in the long run, as far as being able to be very open minded on a lot of things. And I want to say you guys aren't shy about putting your foot out there and helping the next guy up. And that's one thing that I would say that a lot of companies do. They shy away from diversity.
Mm-hmm.
Because I look a certain way, they won't approach me, or they won't ask me, hey, are you willing to do this? Because when you asked me about HTC, and I was like, moi?
Yeah.
But it actually was a great fit for me because I love talking to people. I love being around people. I can connect with them on their right levels, as far as
educating people in the community,
speaking terms, breaking it down into what they can understand.
Right. Yeah.
But other than that, it helped me to also be a better leader, because even with fast food, it was almost like a task manager. You just do what I tell you to do type thing. But this one is involved me into a better leader. So I'm listening, I'm taking suggestions, we're comparing notes, and then we're going from there. So it doesn't take you to actually be a foreman to be a leader. You could be a leader
at any level.
And I love the fact that you guys let us do that. And it's like, hey, no, don't tell nobody that, or hey, don't teach them that. Wait till the foreman. I like that you guys are embracing and be like, hey, and if it's something wrong that needs error, you guys will be like, hey, that's a good start, but this and this and that. You guys get down to the fundamentals. And like I said, to me, it's a dream job. Like, no matter how late you want to start or early you want to start, this can be a long-term career. Or if you want to get out of whatever you're already doing and be like, yo, I just want to change, it's something that you should really deeply look into, because for all in all, the experience, it's been amazing to me.
That's awesome.
It's been amazing.
Good. Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, is there anything we missed, Telicia, that the listeners or anybody who's checking this podcast out needs to know about you?
No,
No?
I think
You got
once
to tell
you
your story?
I think once you meet me, I think it's pretty explanatory, but in the same breath, I want to say to everybody, yeah, you can do it. No
Yeah.
matter what background you came from, no matter what you think you can and can't do. Um I I thought my personal appearance wasn't going to get me hired in a lot of places,
Yeah.
and that's not the case. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your background is. Like you're here for us,
Hmm.
and the company is here for us, and you
Cool.
guys give everybody a chance, and that's one big thing that companies don't do. You need experience for everything, and the fact that you guys give a chance speaks volumes on a
Yeah.
lot of different levels. Like you're
Cool.
trusted a young adult
Yeah.
with a 30-ton piece of equipment.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, just like you said, everybody should come check out the industry. I mean, it's a great place to be and tons of opportunity no matter what your background is, you know? So no experience required.
No experience required.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you play it in the sandbox at the park, we want you.
That's right. That's
You
right.
make sandcastles at the beach, we want you.
Yeah.
You know,
For sure.
it's great.
Yeah.
It's great, and like I would say, I'll tell everybody else too, never limit yourself on what the things do, because I thought I was just going to be a roller operator in this company, and I decided not to limit myself, and I can call myself an operator now that I can actually operate many different pieces of equipment, and I did it all in under 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm stoked about that, because it's to take a lot of people, like, you know, 3, 5, 7 years to learn some pieces of equipment, or to say that, hey, this all I do.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good standard to live by. I think
Yeah.
you should always open your horizons on everything.
Continue to challenge yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, challenge yourself all the time.
Yeah.
Even young people challenge yourself all the time. I think that people are starting to get a little bit lazy as far as the challenge extra is too much for them. I don't want to go through the hassle or the stress.
Yeah.
And some challenges can be healthy for you. Not
Yeah.
all of them are bad challenges. So
Yeah.
just go for it.
Even like today, being on camera on a podcast.
Yeah, I felt like I was like rambling a lot, but hey, you know, but like I said, to each his own. I'm gonna learn more speaking techniques. I'm gonna get out there. I'm still gonna go.
You're already a great speaker.
Yeah, I'm gonna still gonna go. I'm still gonna go talk to the youth. I'm still gonna say, hey, you know, what's going on, guys?
Yeah.
You know, and you know, you're your toughest critic. You know, and that's one thing that people need to understand. Like you're your toughest asset, or your toughest villain on anything. So it's only you that's limiting yourself on what you can and can't do.
Absolutely.
Always.
Well, Telicia, thank you for being on. We appreciate you sharing your story, and love having you as a valued member of the team. And I can't wait to see what comes next.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I can't wait to see what we got. Can't wait to see our new site.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to the Burgess Civil Podcast. If you like this content, please make sure to give us a like, a subscribe, and a share. Let your friends know about it. All the details of how to follow us will be in the description, and we hope you'll continue to follow us on our construction journey.